Good evening, this is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 2v2 on Golgotha Depths. Our first player right here is Zoukka as this Blood Raven's Techmarine. The Techmarine is a ranged hero, very powerful, very tough ranged hero with a gun for every occasion. Also supports vehicles very well, can build relay beacons and turrets. His teammate is none other than Maestro Cretella as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, this tricky, deceptive, incredible commander who can use some powerful long-range spells and has some crazy shenanigans. Right there we saw a Doombolts going off on some Tyrannid Termagants, and that's the Sorcerer. His opponent right here, fighting right up against the Sorcerer, is Strigoi. This time, playing as the Tyrannid Ravener Alpha, a tunneling commander, can fight decently both in ranged combat and in melee combat. Another Doombolt's going off on those Termagants, and Strigoi's teammate is this Commissar Lord, this slightly tanky melee hero, right now just capping, needs to run around and fight, has a free energy shield, can also shoot his and execute his units to help them fight harder. Alright, so we had an engagement down here. Looks like Strigoi pushed me back, is going to get that contested power node. Now the interesting thing about this map, Golgotha Depths, is that both teams only basically have one natural power. Then there are two other power nodes that are contested. So right here, the red team got the contested power node on this side, while the blue team got this contested power node. So I'm in here with some heretic worship, put one grenade launchers on one of my heretic squads, have some cloak, shooting at that generator, but it looks like most of the units are not really here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my heretics, my melee heretics, and have them take out that node, while I send the rest of my army over to support, chase after these Termagants and Tyrannids, support my teammate a bit. These tactical marines right here, they were trying to sit in cover while shooting at the Commissar, but then they got flanked by the guardsmen, and the cover is directional, so they were not getting the cover bonus against those guardsmen. Right now it's actually a 500. Let's see, the red team has a 2-cap, some Doombolts go in on the Termagants, one of those Termagant squads does have to retreat, and these grenade launcher heretics right here are going to be very good against the Termagants. Grenade launcher heretics, they're good against Termagants much in the same way that they're good against Imperial Guard. Those Termagants are very squishy. They only have 81 health per model, so they will die very quickly to these grenade launcher heretics. I'm actually putting an aspiring champion on my grenade launcher squad. I'm not even sure why I'm doing that. I certainly want, I guess I might want them to be tougher, but it would make more sense to put an aspiring champion on my melee heretic squad first. I'll probably end up putting an aspiring champion on both of them. But right now I'm moving my grenade launcher heretics all the way over to this side to support my teammate. He has been having little trouble in this lane, it looks like. He did get a Devastator, which is not a bad choice. Well, it's a decent choice against Imperial Guard. Certainly going to help against that Sentinel, as well as suppressing the guardsmen. The only problem is that setup teams now do get hard countered by the Imperial Guard if the Imperial Guard player chooses to get an artillery spotter squad. I'm retreating a lot of my units, and I'm going to have to retreat pretty much most of my army. I'm getting my melee heretics in here to at least slow down these warriors, but all of my units are going to have to retreat, not with double Termagants shooting at my melee heretic squad. They can't stay in there too much longer. I do put an aspiring champion on that melee heretic squad. So Strigoi does force me off right there. Still does keep this this contested power node for the red team. Meanwhile, it looks like Zoukka's having a little better luck getting the contested power node over here. Actually doing pretty well against Shark right now, and Shark gets dangerously close to losing that guardsman squad from this flame attack. So that flame attack squad is going to be doing area of effect damage. Has been a bit buffed in the latest elite mod patches. So not a bad choice against those guardsmen who are all bunched up. Sentinel has been upgraded to Vengeance rounds, and I recently learned that those Vengeance rounds are actually very good against the Sentinel. This Sentinel actually getting very close to dying, even when under repair. Really can't afford to just stand around against that vengeance round fire, and that's pretty much what's good about those vengeance rounds against the Sentinel. Basically, it can out damage the repair. And right there, Zoukka tried to use a grenade on those approaching warriors and actually blew up one of his tack models. Kind of sad there. But he does put his flame attack in the building, and right now it does not look like Strigoi or Shark have any anti-garrison, so that flame attack model can actually just stay there unless Shark decides to put a flamer on one of his tacks or one of his guardsmen. Now that's really bad, though. Unfortunately, not a good play by Zoukka, and he loses his tactical marine squad. He actually should have just kept the attacks in the garrison because, again, neither one of those players had any real garrison counter. And Zoukka actually lost his Devastator too. I did not even see it, but some major losses for Zoukka, losing most of his units. Basically only has his Techmarine, and now these scouts are fully upgraded though with shotguns and their sergeant. So that sergeant, the sergeant seems... I actually think the sergeant's a good idea against Imperial Guard. I like it for using that grenade as an area of effect threat against the guardsmen. And then the shotguns are pretty good for dealing with the Commissar. Normally, shotguns aren't so great against Imperial Guard because you do have to consider the fact that usually the scouts will just get outranged and won't have a target to shoot at or to use the shotgun blast against, but the Commissar, you usually want to deal with him in some way. He does get really annoying when he's running in against your units. Been focusing a lot on Zoukka over here. I did buy Chaos Raptors, and it looks like I did force off the Tyranids right there. I think wow, bad English. I think Chaos Raptors are actually a pretty good choice against Tyranids when their hero is the Ravener Alpha. Basically, if you get Raptors against the other commanders, the Lictor Alpha and the Hive Tyrant are pretty good at threatening the Raptors, while the Ravener Alpha not as much. And especially with, looks like Strigoi going for definitely a more ranged-oriented build overall. He's got 2 Termagants. He does have a Ravener Brood. They have been upgraded to the Devourer, and he does have his Warriors and, of course, the Hormagaunts. Must be in a tunnel right now. So I actually finally get a hold of this contested power farm. Although it looks like Strigoi is going to start taking it back. Since all of my units are over here, these heretics did destroy a node that was on this point, and I'm doing a lot of idling. Meanwhile, it looks like Strigoi is coming over to backcap my victory point and even going to go for a Gen Bash on our natural power as long as I'm moved up into this middle to support Zoukka. And unfortunately, a Gen Bash goes over there, and I'm not over there to stop it. So these tunnels can be pretty annoying. Do give Tyranid players, the Ravener Alpha players, a lot of mobility. Alright, and unfortunately, I just lost my team a lot of generators, and it looks like I'm going to have some trouble chasing down these Hormagaunts and Warriors since they're just using the map to avoid repercussions for being pushed up this far into my generator farm. Now I'm choosing to capture with my Chaos Space Marines. I actually feel, at least right now in their vanilla form, they are the lowest impact unit that I have. They have lower DPS. Well, they have lower DPS than the melee units. The grenade launcher heretics are going to be doing great area of effect damage. So all of these units will do more than the Chaos Space Marines in a shorter period of time right now. That can change in Tier 2 once they get upgrades. So it's actually been a slightly boring game so far. I've been a little passive, walking around. Grenade launchers gonna drop on those Termagants. The Chaos Raptors jump in, but not a great situation for them. Now getting hit by Hormagaunts as well as Warriors. This Chaos Heretic squad in a lot of trouble. I think I might lose it, and yes, I do. Very disappointing to lose that Heretic squad. I think I would have been okay. I probably tried to Doom Blast and then just get them out of there, but I think I ran into trouble with them getting knocked down. So now that's going to be more Tyranids overrunning my victory point, especially now with this Ravener Alpha tunneling in there and now going for a big Gen Bash with 3 powerful ranged units. Wow, that's going to be really bad for us. Over here, meanwhile, it looks like Zoukka's having a little bit of trouble. He now still has that Sentinel to deal with, as well as this Chimera. His only vehicle counter is this Melt-A-Gun Techmarine, which has been improved a little bit in the Elite mod. He is getting Signum Armor, which does synergize pretty well with the Melt-A-Gun, since it passively increases range. Now over here, I throw in some Doom Bolts. Chaos Raptors jump in, again, in a fight where they probably shouldn't have, but I do have Mark of Tzeentch on my Chaos Space Marines, upgrading them. Icon of Tzeentch, along with some Dark Flames, is actually going to disrupt a lot of these units and kill those melee units, and it's actually winning me this engagement, because now only the Termagants are here, and those Termagants are actually getting knocked down. It's going to start taking a ton of damage from the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, and most of the Tyranid units are actually forced off. So I actually managed to win that engagement, despite having definitely having fewer units. Sorcerer gets a sync kill over here and tosses one of those Termagants. Most of my units do get forced off, but ultimately did win that engagement. Crippling Talon on the Ravener Alpha. Over here, Zoukka has recovered a bit from his early unit losses. One of the great choices that oh my god, this Guardsman squad, will it go down here? Took a huge plasma cannon shot, down to 2 models, but ultimately will get out of there. Still has the Sergeant and the Commissar. And now these Stern Guards actually in a ton of trouble. So Zoukka did get Stern Guard veterans, an elite veteran Space Marine squad that can switch ammo types to deal with many different threats. But Shark amassing quite an army, does have those double guardsmen. Both they have been upgraded to have their commissars as well as their sergeants, giving them, basically turning them into 12-man squads. And they now also reinforce 3 for 1. So for 13 requisition, you get 3 guardsmen, which is basically turns guardsmen into the most cost-effective ranged unit in the game. And this Sentinel actually in a lot of trouble, taking a lot of shots from this Melted Techmarine. And now it's this huge Imperial Guard range mob. Assault Kit Stormtrooper is going to be doing a lot of range DPS, and I don't know what these scouts are doing. They're in a bad position. He's cloaking them around to throw a grenade, but that grenade ultimately doesn't do much. Let's get... and these scouts are in a lot of trouble. Plasma Gunshot nearly wipes the Stormtroopers, but now they are getting reinforced. Over here, I'm in another fight, but I use the Curse of Tzeentch on those Hormagaunts, and they actually retreat out of there, and just a full retreat from Strigoi, and I don't even think that was necessary. I think he just got scared by the Mark of Tzeentch, although all things considered, I do now have a aspiring champion on my Raptor squad, so without his Hormagaunts for support, the Raptor squad is going to be beating most of those units. Certainly going to be beating the Termagants, as well as the Raveners, and to be honest, even the Warriors, as long as the Warriors don't leap and disrupt the Raptors. Over here, Zoukka now definitely suffering a lot, getting pushed back too much. I think with those unit losses, he's got some decent units. The Plasma Cannon Devastator is a really good choice. If it hits the Chimera, it will do a lot of damage. And then as long as it hits those guardsmen, beautiful shot like that, will kill a lot of guardsmen. I'm actually coming in here to support. And now with my Raptors in here, the Chimera takes a full hit from that Plasma Cannon Devastator, and I actually take out the Chimera for my teammate. I was actually building a Plague Marine squad to help out Zoukka, because I could tell he was struggling with that Chimera, and I ended up not even needing it. By path blocking, I path blocked the Chimera with my Raptors, and that allowed Zoukka to get a Plasma Cannon shot on the Chimera, and that Plasma Cannon shot did something like take out half of its health. And then I actually just used the Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines along with the Raptors to actually do some light AV damage to that Chimera and finish it off. Right over here, Hormagaunts, they do have the adrenal glands. I actually use Dark Flames in combination with the Icon of Tzeentch, but not a single model kill right there. Unfortunately, again, with me committing to the opposite lane, I lose the entire generator farm over here. My team now has no generators whatsoever. We don't even have the contested power nodes. We don't even have the nodes, let alone generators. And now I have a huge Tyranid blob. I mean, look at the Tyranid blob that Strigoi has. He does have Venom Broods now. have been upgraded to have the range synapse, increases the range damage of Termagants and Devour Raveners by 35%. I'm assuming that hasn't been changed in the Elite mod. It's now also a triple cap for the red team, or going to be a triple cap, with these now Casterkins out for Shark. I didn't realize how far ahead he was in tech. And Strigoi also going to tier 3. Zoukka, meanwhile, kind of stuck in tier 2. I'm still in tier 2. I did get those Plague Marines, but those Plague Marines are kind of a waste right now. They're not going to be very good against those Tyranid units. And there are no vehicles out for Shark or Strigoi. But I think Shark is now in a much weaker position, having lost his Chimera. Because he's really going to be at the mercy of this Plasma Cannon Devastator, unless this Plasma Cannon Devastator gets wiped by this flank by the Tyranid Blob, and that is going to be a wipe on the Plasma Cannon Devastator. Nevertheless, Shark is still going to be struggling with this Dreadnought, unless it also gets wiped by this massive Tyranid Blob flank. So Cadian Casterkins right here. Raptors jumping in to deal with those Casterkins, though. The Casterkins try to throw a grenade. They do knock over some Raptors, but those Casterkins now being threatened a little bit. They are upgrading to Plasma Guns, and those Casterkins, with the weapon expertise and the Plasma Guns, going to be doing some pretty ridiculous range DPS. A grenade goes off from the Scouts, actually doing not too bad, but those Scouts are taking a little too much range fire, just trying to approach, and Zoukka getting hit extremely hard, getting doubled really badly. I'm moving in over here now with my forces. Do take out Lestrigoi's Venom Brood. Hopefully we'll take out some of these Warrior Brood models as well, but I'm not paying attention. Did not force melee with a lot of those units. Could have taken out at least one, if not two models with those Raptors and those Bloodletters, possibly even wipe the squad. Right here, though, Imperial Guard Range Mob getting hit by everything. Getting hit by... Wow, look at those losses. Oh my god, and will... Okay, I think, yeah, Shark loses one of his Guardsman squads. He got hit by so many things. He got hit by Doom Bolts, Dark Flames, the Assault Cannon Barrage, Plasma Cannon Shot. I'm reviving my teammate's Techmarine. Zoukka with massive red as well. Now, I actually moved my Plague Marine squad here, which was fairly... didn't really have a purpose. I moved it up here, and I started bashing generators. Plague Marines, once you take out a vehicle... Plague Marines don't have much of a place. They do less range damage than a vanilla scout squad to infantry. So the best thing they can do after that is bash generators, and the best thing they can do after that is simply cap. And then after that, the best thing they can do is tie up units. So my team has definitely been on the back foot of things, but we definitely had some nice victories right there. Taking out a Guardsman squad for Shark. Shark immediately replaces the Guardsman squad, putting Sergeants back on them. But those Guardsmen definitely going to be threatened a lot by both this Sorcerer with Doom Bolts, Icon of Tzeentch, as well as this Dreadnought, which needs some repairs. I'm getting off even more of a Gen Bash right now, so now it's actually the red team that's going to have no generators whatsoever. Meanwhile, we get a power farm back up, but these Termagants are back capping, and I'm sure the Termagants right here, the other Termagant squad, are going to bash generators, and we might see something come out of this Ravener tunnel as well. But my team is coming back on the caps. That is good. We're staying in this game even at tier 2. When the other team is comfortably in tier 3, we can expect some kind of tier 3 unit out of Strigoi pretty soon, I think. Strigoi definitely has... soon he's going to have enough for a Carnifex. Shark, meanwhile, is actually going for a heavy weapon team. Probably going to put a Las Cannon on so he can deal with the Dreadnought. And that Dreadnought still needs some repairs. But I think one of the reasons this Dreadnought is doing so well is that Shark does not really have AV, and that's why he's getting that heavy weapon team. But all of his infantry units are not AV. He does have to worry about, and that's certainly one of the reasons why Strigoi is supporting Shark, since Strigoi does at least have the warriors. That is actually Lestrigoi's only AAV, because he got the Crippling Talon on his Ravener Alpha, which is just a melee weapon. Only does regular melee damage. Does reduce the speed and damage of the units that it hits, though. So it's now going to be... It looks like it's going to become now a 2-cap for red, which is not good considering we're fairly low in victory points. Only have about 100. while they still have over 250. And it looks like we're definitely having a bit of a massive units in the middle. I teleport my bloodletters in, which unfortunately was a really bad idea. They only lose one model, luckily. These raptors, I decide to retreat them as well at level 3, which is pretty good. Pretty good to level up those raptors. They're not that. So as you can see, I have both raptors and bloodletters, which is something I actually like to do. Having double jump units is actually really good. And of course, raptors, the advantage of raptors is purely the fact that you can get them in tier 1. I've been realizing that bloodletters are better as a jump unit. They do more damage. They're more cost effective because they cost the same to get them out of the gate with 4 models that do more damage per model, while the Raptors need to pay for that aspiring champion. And it looks like that's a dead squad from my Strigoi. I don't remember whether those were Termagants or Hormagaunts. Probably Hormagaunts. That was a Hormagaunt squad. I actually get a decap off, but now a Tyrannid formation, those Tyrannid trees, killing some of my Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines at 3 models, maybe going to be at 2. The Sorcerer gets knocked over a bit, getting knocked over a lot, and that's probably going to be a dead Sorcerer as well as a dead Techmarine. That Sorcerer in a lot of trouble, and he does die. Rather unlucky to lose that Sorcerer from the Tyrannid formation knockback. Not actually the Tyrannid formation itself that was killing my Sorcerer, but rather the combination of the Tyrannid formation knockback and then the follow-up fire. Now, I actually took out that heavy weapon team by having these double jump units. These double jump units, it's just a lot of melee damage, and just 2 units that can instantly go where they want to be. And I just retreat them out of there, so that was a pretty good win. But Shark now with enough red to do 2 rocket runs, probably saving up for a Baneblade right now, and I don't know what we're going to do about that. That Baneblade is really good. I'm actually fully pop-capped. I have a Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Dreadnought. Zoukka unfortunately did lose some units. Let's see, he lost his Dreadnought, which is terrible. Alright, Strigoi bashing again, being really sneaky and annoying with those generator bashes, using this tunnel right here. That tunnel in the middle. I feel like those tunnels are very good in teams, possibly just very good, period. Fortunately, both of our heroes have been knocked down, and with us losing that engagement, we also couldn't take out all these capillary towers from the Tyrannid formation. So any engagement that's going to take place here, Tyrannid units will be getting buffs. It will be some nice red for us once we can destroy those capillary towers, but we need to destroy them all to prevent the Tyrannid units from getting buffs. Zoukka going for a decap, I think a little bit risky considering his scouts are at half health. But wow, look at the scouts at level 4 having 1,000 health. Level 4 scouts, he probably has level 4 scouts that might go down, probably getting... Oh! And let's actually look at this. An orbital bombardment. I'm actually following up the orbital with my bloodletters, but then the bloodletters actually go into that... Go in there. So Shark losing a lot of units, but the Chaos Raptors follow up and actually wipe 2 squads with the follow-up from the Chaos Raptors jumping in after that orbital, which is actually really, really good for us to wipe 2 squads. As it is, Shark nearly lost everything. He's got look at how low these guardsmen, the Castricans, and the Stormtroopers are, and that was all from the orbital. And I actually wiped 2 squads with those Chaos Raptors. I think it was 2 squads, or maybe it was just 1 squad. But still, the follow-up from those Chaos Raptors, if only I had done a little bit better with the Bloodletters as well. Unfortunately, the Bloodletters kind of walked in to the orbital bombardment beams, and that was actually a second Tyrannid formation from Strigoi. These red team players having a massive amount of red. Strigoi being really sneaky and annoying, using that tunnel to get behind us, decap our natural victory point. And then just destroying our power generators, giving him even more red. Shark still again with that massive red float, could do 2 rocket runs. Alright, and I'm actually getting a cap, blob capping with my Sorcerer and my Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. And now, Zoukka unfortunately lost another thing and now has a Venerable Dreadnought. This is the worst blob capping I have ever seen, and of course it's from me. Nevertheless, so we've definitely been struggling a bit in this game. I think we're doing pretty well to come back as well as we are. Zoukka lost the level 4 scouts. Oh no, probably lost it to this massive range blob. And I mean, these stormtroopers, Castricans level 3, stormtroopers level 4, guardsmen level 3. This is massive range DPS. I don't even want to know what the number is for this because it's going to be stupid. It's just going to be stupid, the range DPS that this blob is putting out right now. It's a blob of only 3 units, and it's going to the range damage it's going to be putting out is just stupid. I don't even want to know. But the Venerable Dreadnought is trying to run in there. The weakness of this ranged blob that Shark has is that it does not have any AV. I think it has some kind of grenade on the Castricans, but that's not going to be enough. So jump units going in. I do have level 4 Raptors, though. Now level 3 Bloodletters. Not bad. Level 5 Sorcerer. And this Carnifex has been upgraded to Thornback, and now I'm hitting it with some Tzeentch missiles, and it's also going to be hit by a Plague Marine squad as well as a Venerable Dreadnought. So this Carnifex is in a bit of trouble. Gonna risk going down here, I think. Now the only thing is, Strigoi, if he's smart, he's gonna save that charge. And yes, he actually does charge out of there, and that's one of the great things about the Thornback Carnifex. It's so hard to kill because even if you get a snare on it, even if you hit it with a lot of AV, it can use that snare as a a get out of jail free card. I try to use some Icon of Tzeentch right there and some Dark Flames, but Shark does retreat out of there before he gets hit by the Dark Flames. I think maybe some better positioning by the Dark Flames from me could have done better to get that, to actually have that land on those units. So Raptors have obviously done very well for me. Certainly very well against most of Strigoi's build, but not going to be so good now with Gene Stealers out on the field. And we also do have that Bane Blade out from Shark. So that Bane Blade is really good these days. I actually think it has been overperforming a little bit, and I think it's been overperforming in part. He actually ran over his allies' tunnel, but I think it's been overperforming in part because of the change to the main cannon. The main cannon now fires passively. It's been doing that for a while now in the Elite mod. Instead of being an ability, and I think that's just been making the Baneblade really good at countering a lot of its counters. It's actually very good against like other tanks. It's actually very good even against like setup AV weapons. So it's the Baneblade is such a tough nut to crack these days. I think it's been really good, and I'm sure this bunker will be a repair bunker, and that's just going to help keep that Baneblade alive. Raveners just flying around kind of in a weird bugged out way. The Dreadnought just walking through those buildings, knocking them over. Zoukka in tier 3, obviously, since he does have that Venerable Dread. A Rocket Run does go down, kills a bunch of units, does wipe one of my Heretic squads, and actually doesn't wipe my Heretic squad, wipe my Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine squad, which is certainly very depressing. I probably had a Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine squad that was at level 2, maybe 3 or 4. Chaos Raptors, I lost a lot of models on them too, and I certainly lost a lot of models on my Heretics. And we've been staying in this game, but now I think we're getting pushed back a bit. This Plague Marine in trouble, and we're getting pushed back at a bad time because we're low on victory points. We've only got 52 left, 166 for the red team. We've been doing well to stay in, but now we're in a little bit of trouble. This Carnifex is chasing down my Chaos Dreadnought, and certainly my Tzeentch Chaos Dreadnought will do a ton of range damage to the Carnifex. But once that Carnifex gets in melee range, it's going to win enormously over the Chaos Dreadnought. So that's why I need these Plague Marines in here to snare that Carnifex. And I'm actually using both my Raptors and my Bloodletters to do some light AV damage to this Carnifex. Now, this Carnifex looks like it's been sent on a bit of a suicide run. Now, I think, especially once I have my Chaos Dreadnought turn around, that will probably be a dead Carnifex. Even with it charging out, well, I mean, that charge is so good. That I feel like that should have been a dead Carnifex. But I think the point I was trying to make is that with that Carnifex pushing me back in my base, it's having the effect that it needs to do, which is that it's keeping me, it's basically just keeping me away from the victory points long enough for the red team to win the game. The victory points are ticking down now. Zoukka gets a desperate decap with his Stern Guard veterans on this point, but I don't think that's going to be enough for us. Baneblade uses the Demolisher Cannon, basically demolishes that Stern Guard veteran squad, nearly gets wiped, 5 HP left. And although Zoukka did not lose that Stern Guard veteran squad, I did finally lose my level 4 cast Raptors. And although we've stayed in this game for a while, I think that's actually going to be the GG with a 2-cap right here from the Imperial Guard. With the contested victory point as well as their natural, and they even decapped our natural because these Tyranids have just overwhelmed me. But I got some Dark Flames in here. Hopefully, yeah, with some Icon of Tzeentch. I knew the game was over, but I mean, I just wanted to do that anyway for fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.